What if I told you you scroll past thousands of pieces of content a day? And what if I told you that the reason you stopped on certain videos was solved over 30,000 years ago? Yeah, that's right, folks. You're in for a wild tale. Because before YouTube, before cameras, before AI, humans already figured out how to capture attention. If you understand this, you don't just make content. You start creating art that performs. There's a book called The Story of Art, and it completely changes how you see content. Because it doesn't just explain art, it explains how humans learn to see. And that same thing you trying to hack every time you upload a video, it happens with the psychology of art. Let's go back. Cave paintings. No thumbnails, no editing, no algorithm, just a wall. And a human trying to communicate something important. They didn't care about perfection. They cared about one thing. Can the person understand this instantly? And that's so important, folks, when you're creating art. Making other people understand. That's it. That's your first lesson. If your video doesn't communicate instantly, your clear messaging, you lose. Then came ancient Egypt. People took on art and say, why does it look so flat? It wasn't meant to look real. It wasn't meant to show what matters most. But it was meant to show what matters most. That's what they did in ancient Egypt. Heads turned sideways, eyes pacing forward, because clarity is greater than realism. And that is where most creators get it wrong. You're trying to make things look good, but the best content makes things understandable fast. Then the Greeks changed everything. They became obsessed with balance, proportion, perfection. They studied the human body like scientists. Why? Because there's so much to be real in this book. And realism has something powerful. Beauty holds attention. That's why your lighting matters. That's why your framing matters. That's why your thumbnails matter. Because don't just click. People don't click on the mess. They will go for you as well. They click what feels right. That's the Renaissance hit. And artists like Leo da Vinci and Michelangelo asked a new question. How do we make people feel like they're inside the scene? So they invented perspective, depth, realism. For instance, this frame has a window as the light coming in and the room lit up. There's depth. And suddenly, art wasn't something you looked at. It wasn't something you experienced. That's storytelling. That's cinematography. That's what separates a random video from something people remember. Then came the Baroque period, and that is where it gets dangerous. Artists like Caravaggio, realism. You don't just show something, you hit people with emotion. Once you hit people with emotion, it goes bang! And then dark happens, bright highlights, intense expressions. It wasn't calm, it was dramatic. And that's your hook. That's your first 3 seconds. If your video doesn't create emotion nor contrast, people scroll. And people scroll scrolling all day. Then modern art came in and basically said, what if we break everything? Artists like Pablo Picasso stopped caring about realism completely. Faces became distorted, perspectives shattered. Why? Because the goal changed again, not accurately, but expressively. And this is where you are right now as a creator. You're experimenting. AI has come out, and this is the new tech that has generated so much already. Weird edits, unexpected humour. That's not grand. But it's you stepping into the same phase that changed art forever. Forever. And you can see here that there's so many periods of art where people have gone in the ages to create light and dark depth, and they've created so much architecture as well. Because art is something that grabs from all industries. The biggest idea from E.H. Gombrich is this: that in order to have art, it's not about talent, it's about problem solving. Every generation of artists asked, how do you show this better? How does this make people feel? How do we capture attention faster? And that's literally what you're doing on YouTube. There we go. The story of art.